Hey coders, welcome to my channel Coding with NJ, which is all about learning through implementation. And this particular video that you are watching is 6th in our Laravel with Livewire e-commerce series. As the name implies, here we are learning a full-stack Laravel web application, which is an online shopping website along with its admin side. In this video, we will learn how to delete a particular category from the admin panel. This in turn will complete the implementation of all actions associated with any controller in the Laravel. If you are not sure what a controller is or its associated actions, I would highly urge you to watch previous videos in this playlist on my channel. Now back to the business. So as I was saying, we are going to implement category deletion logic in this tutorial. But before we start this, let me explain why I have been putting off defining this logic so far. So if you have been following all the videos in this series, then you will know that until the video number 5, that is the previous video, we did not have any links on our web page to jump from one page to another. We had to resort to manually typing URLs in the address bar of our web page. For example, if you are interested in watching a particular ID, category ID, let's say 1, then we typed in the URL in the address bar and we got back over here. We didn't have these links which could take us back or make us jump from one page to another. But since whenever we type any URL in the browser, it will always turn into a get HTTP request. That means we cannot type in a URL in the address bar which will be sent as a delete request, that is HTTP delete request to the backend. And since we have associated deletion of any resource with a delete HTTP verb in our web.php file, therefore we cannot type in any request for deletion in the address bar. Let me show you. So this is web.php, and if you notice, the verb that we have associated with this deletion of any category is delete. And for the same reasons, we cannot use anchor tag to delete any resource like the one mentioned over here. So if we inspect this element, so you can notice that this is currently an anchor tag. We cannot use this anchor tag either because this will also send a get request and we are supposed to send a delete request. So that means we have to make changes over here as well. And that is the reason I haven't associated any URL in the href. So if you notice over here, the href is empty. But for the details and edit ones, we have a URL. So this is for the details ones and this is for the edit one. So both of these hrefs contain proper URLs, but this one doesn't contain anything. That's because we can't utilize an anchor tag to delete any request either. So that was one reason for putting off defining this deletion logic. Now the other issue has to do with a question that should be popping in your minds right now. So you must be asking, but NJ, we have already implemented a post request when we were adding a new category and a fetch request when we were updating a category. And for both of them, we have been resorting to typing their respective URLs in the address bar in the browser. How did we manage to do that if this isn't possible at all? Well, to answer that question, let me take you to a diagram that I've already explained in video number 3. And over here, you can clearly see why we did not encounter this conundrum. It is because each of the actions, that is the creation of a category and the updation of a category, consist of 2 HTTP requests each. The first one of those 2 requests is always a get request. So we type in a URL in the address bar because it's a get request, and in turn we are returned a view, that is a blade file, which consists of a form. We fill in a form and submit the form. The submission of that form is actually a post request or a fetch request. And because we didn't type in any URL, we just clicked on the submit button and that post and fetch request got sent to the server, so we never had to encounter this issue. But as you can see over here, for the deletion, we only have one request to make, and that is of type delete, HTTP delete request. So we cannot type in any URL and we don't have any form to submit. We just want to be able to click on the delete button and the associated category should get deleted. So how do we do that? We can't type in an anchor tag because it is also a get request. We cannot type in any URL which will return us a form to display because in this case we don't have any get request and we don't want any form to fill in to delete any request. We just want to be displayed a button on the screen that we click and the associated resource should get deleted or the category should get deleted. Well, the answer is that we are still going to use a form behind the scenes, but that form will not have any input fields or any other fields except for the submission button with the caption delete. So on the screen it will still look like a button just like these two, and when we click on it, a form will be submitted behind the scenes. Now because this form does not have any input fields, so we won't be able to make out if this is actually a form which is being submitted or a button being clicked, just like these two. The reason for not having any input fields in the form is that we only need to provide the ID of the category that we want to delete, and that ID we will provide as a route parameter in the URL. So this is our delete route. If you notice over here, we are mentioning a route parameter. So over here, we will be providing the ID of the category that we want to delete. Hence, we do not need to have any other input fields in the form. So now what we need to do is that we have to replace this anchor tag with a form. Since we have defined this logic in index.blade.php file, so let's go there. So this is our form. And inside this div with the class name category, we have many paragraphs. The last paragraph consists of 3 elements, and each of these 3 elements are anchor tags. The first one represents the details anchor tag. When you click on this tag, we will be sent to the page which displays all the details belonging to this category. This one is edit. If you want to edit the page, this is where we will go. Now the third one is an anchor tag, and notice over here the href is empty over here. So we have to simply replace this with a form. Now for the action, we are going to use the route helper function, and over here we are going to mention the route name associated with the delete route. So this is our delete route, and this is the route name category.destroy. So let's provide this category.destroy. The method is post over here, but inside the body, since we don't want a post method, rather we want the method of type delete. So we have to mention that information as a Blade directive, which is add method. We have already covered these directives in our previous videos. So the method is delete. We also need to provide another directive for cross-site resource forgery, which is @csrf, and we need a submit button. So input of type submit. So the value is delete. It says route category.destroy not found because the S is missing. Missing required parameter for route category.destroy. So this requires a route parameter. We haven't mentioned this. So let's put in this thing over here as a second parameter to the route helper function. And we have got our website working again, but as you can see, the delete has been moved on to the next line. So now we have to fix this. We have to make sure this delete comes back over here. So for that, we have to understand why this delete has moved to the next line, even though we have plenty of space over here. And this seems to have ruined all the styling associated with this whole div. So let's have a look at the... Okay. So before I explain things over here, let's go to our index file. And now if you notice in the div with the class name category, we have different paragraphs. The last paragraph contains 2 anchor tags now and 1 form. Now let's go back. So this is our div category, and it seems to contain a paragraph. The first one which represents the ID, the second one represents the title, the third one represents the status, and the fourth one which represents 2 anchor tags. But remember, it has only 2 anchor tags. The form seems to have come out of this paragraph. So then we have form, and then again we have an empty paragraph. This isn't the logic that we have defined in our index.blade.php file. So in our index file, we have this form within this paragraph, the last paragraph, and we definitely don't have an empty paragraph. So where does this empty paragraph come from? Well, this problem has occurred because now we have replaced the anchor tag which was inside the last paragraph with a form. Since form is a block element which we have placed inside a paragraph, and in paragraph we cannot place any block element. Even if we change the display property for the form from block to inline, we will still have the same problem. A paragraph can never contain a block level element inside it, and our form is actually a block level element. Even if we change this form from block level element to an inline element, the problem will still exist there. So whenever we place a block level element inside a paragraph, what happens is that the paragraph will terminate over there. So that's why within this paragraph, we have two anchor tags. The moment it encountered a form, it terminated the paragraph over here. So now we have this form as a first level child in the category div, and then we again encountered the closing paragraph, so it has attached the starting paragraph tag as well. So now we have to fix this problem simply by converting this last paragraph which contains these two anchor tags and the form into another div. And within div we can have other block level elements, so that will resolve the problem. So let's go back and let's convert this last paragraph with a div, and let's give it a class name, category actions. Now let's go to our index.css file, and this was the styling which we had applied to our last paragraph of the category. So now we have to simply replace this p colon last child with category actions. Okay, now that has resolved our problem. So now the styling is much better. The only thing is this looks like a button, but these two doesn't look like buttons. But that's not an issue because we haven't defined any styling for these two, because we are going to convert these anchor tags into components. So until then you have to bear it. Now when we click on this delete button, a form will be sent to category.destroy actions. So now we have to define the logic for this action in the category controller. Category controller. So this is our destroy action, our destroy method. So we have to define the logic over here. Okay, the first thing that we have to do over here is type in this destroy method with the category object, so that we can already have the access to the whole category row which matches the ID which has been clicked for deletion. Okay, now because of this typing thing, the Laravel has already brought in the whole row which matches the ID which was clicked. Okay, so now all we need to do is we have to call a method on this category object. It's delete. Now we have to return to a route that is the same route where we clicked on this delete button. So the route name for that one is, that was actually the index page, so category.index is the route name. So we are returning back to same page. Now let's go and test it out. Let's click on this home category. Let's delete it, and it got deleted. So if you notice over here, when we click on this delete button, a request goes to the backend and we are redirected back to this same page with the category missing from the page which was deleted. So you will see the page is being reloaded over here. So let's give it one more try and let's delete the accessories category, and as you can see, the page got refreshed. So with this we have completed all the actions associated with any resource or any controller. So we have basically defined all the business logic. Now the only thing left is we have to convert these anchor tags into components. So we are going to learn to define components in our next lecture. But before we end this, let's go back to our dashboard, that is the admin page. So we need to do two things over here. We have to convert this title into an anchor tag such that when we click on this Laravel dashboard, we should be redirected to this page, and then we have to apply some styling for this one. So let's do that. So this is basically an h1 element. So what we are going to do is that we are going to replace this h1 with an anchor element, and then when we click on this one, we will be redirected to this URL. So let's open up the file layout.blade.php because that's where the logic is defined. We have to go to h1. Oh, this is actually h2. Laravel dashboard. Okay, so let's comment this out and put an anchor tag with the same Laravel dashboard. Now for the href, we have to provide the URL. So let's go to web.php and see what is the URL that we have defined. Okay, this is the URL. Okay, so this is the one /route. So we have to provide this prefix /route. So let's go to layout.blade.php and since we haven't defined any route name for this URL, so we have to resort to another helper function which is called URL and /admin. We have to enclose this within double curly brackets. Okay, so now the styling must have ruined, but this should work. Okay, yes. So let's click on this, and we got successfully redirected back to this page. So let's click on categories page and again click on Laravel dashboard, and we get redirected to the dashboard. Now let's go and apply the styling. So we have to look for layout.scss file, and we are actually looking for h2. So there is no h2. Okay, so turns out we haven't defined any styling for h2. Now let's define some styling for the horizontal nav, left nav, and an anchor element. Okay, so this is horizontal navigation. Okay, so within this horizontal navigation, we have left navigation. Left nav anchor, and for this let's define the font weight to be 700. Font size, let's make it 4 M. That's too much. 1.5 M. Yeah, that's better. Text decoration none. Text transform capitalize. Okay, for the color, okay, let's open the colors. I've forgotten what colors have I defined, so let's give it this button color. Okay. Okay, that's better. So click on Laravel dashboard and we got redirected back to dashboard. Now the only thing that we need to do is that we have to bring this dashboard in the text welcome to dashboard, welcome to admin dashboard in the center. Little bit increase the size and to capitalize it, and that would be all. So for that, if you remember, this area is actually defined through a yield directive in the layout file. That means the other pages that will extend this layout page, they will insert new data into this yield part over here. So let's go to our layout page and look at that yield directive. So this is layout, and let's go down to yield. Now if you look, this yield is inside a section with the class name content. So we can actually define some basic styling for this content section in the layout.scss file over here. So actually we have defined some logic, but this logic applies to the other pages which get inserted into this yield section. So we can't define any logic over here which will only be applied to this page when the yield section is empty. In this layout page, this yield section is empty. Only when we click on some other pages, then this yield section gets filled in with other data, and the styling that we have defined for the content section in the layout.scss file, h1 and these contents, that's get applied to this one. So basically we can't define any logic when the yield directive is empty. So how can we solve this problem? So what we are going to do, if you look at this yield, it consists of two parameters. The first one is the name of the yield, which is content, and this is the default data, which is just a text. So rather than passing a text, we are going to use a facade and insert a default view. So to make a view, we are going to use a facade with the name view, and we are going to call a static method on it, which is called make, and let's give it a name dashboard. So if the yield is empty, in that case this view will be inserted. So now we have to create this view. So let's, in the views folder, in the admin folder, so that means admin.dashboard, let's create a file with the name dashboard.play.php, and now over here let's put an h2, welcome to admin dashboard. Okay, now let's go to our browser, and over here it says welcome to admin dashboard. Now what we can do is that let's put it inside a div with the class name dashboard and place this h1 inside it. Now let's go to our layout.scss file and define some styling for the dashboard div. Display flex, justify content center, align item center. Okay. Width is 100% and height is also 100%. No, nothing. Background color, let's temporarily give it red. Okay, let's make it minimum width 100% and minimum height 100%. That's better. So making the minimum width and minimum height inherit, it's going to inherit it from its parent, which is this content section. So now whatever is the width and height of this content section, it got inherited by the dashboard. So now let's remove this background color. Okay, so now our welcome to admin dashboard is inside the center. Now let's click on categories, and it hasn't affected the styling in the rest of the pages. So with this we end our today's tutorial. We learned the deletion logic, how to delete a resource, and then we learned how to associate a default view using a facade for any yield directive. So I hope you learned something new and liked this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and if possible share as well. Thank you so much.